Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dr. Whitney Costers and I am a professor of English. And in this video, we're going to talk about report writing, but specifically, I'm going to help you with a problem that shows up long before anyone realizes it's happening. Now, most reports don't fall apart at the drafting stage because the writer can't write. They fall apart because the document was never planned in a way that made drafting possible. You can usually feel this when it happens. The draft will keep growing, but it won't get clearer. Research will pile up and sections will feel tentative. And explaining what the report actually establishes starts to feel harder instead of easier. That moment is worth paying attention to because it's easy to misdiagnose. It feels like a writing problem, but it's not. What's actually happening is that the document never had a stable foundation to begin with. This is a planning failure that has already happened, so instead of focusing on fixing sentences later, what I want to do in this video is move earlier into the process and slow this down. Specifically, I want to focus on the stage before sentences exist, when the right decisions can prevent all of that confusion from taking hold in the first place. This is not planning as a vague pre-writing exercise, and it's not planning as a formality that you rush through so you can say you did it. It's planning as the stage where real decisions get made, so that the writing itself can move forward without collapsing under its own weight. Up to this point, the focus in this series has been on what reports are, why they matter, and how audience purpose and stakes shape them. This video assumes that groundwork and moves into application. The shift here is from understanding how reports function to deciding how to actually build one that you can draft from, especially in situations where no one is going to step in later and reorganize things for you. That shift matters a lot because in real professional settings, planning isn't optional or invisible. Reports are written under time pressure with partial information and with the expectation that the document will stand on its own. When a report feels unfocused in these contexts, the assumption isn't that the writer was learning. The assumption is that the writer didn't exercise judgment early enough. So that's why this stage matters and why it's worth slowing down here instead of rushing ahead. So for planning to actually do its job, it has to accomplish a few things at once. It has to control relevance so research doesn't sprawl. It also has to decide what the report is responsible for establishing before sentences exist, which means drafting becomes execution rather than improvisation. And it has to anticipate how real readers will use the document, because reports are navigated, questioned, and often revisited when something is at stake. Once those goals are clear, the next question becomes what planning should actually produce. Planning that helps isn't just a set of intentions or loose ideas. It needs to produce a small number of concrete materials that you can draft from. And the first of those is a clear situation statement. In the real world, reports don't exist because a topic is interesting. They exist because something specific is happening that requires explanation. So instead of planning a report about workplace safety, a situation statement might explain injury patterns in a particular warehouse over the last 18 months based on internal incident records. Instead of planning a report about housing access, it might explain changes in rental availability in a certain city following recent zoning changes. This distinction matters because when the situation is vague, everything that follows becomes unstable. When the situation isn't clear, research expands without direction, sections compete with each other, and the report never quite settles. A simple test helps here. If the situation can't be explained in one or two precise sentences without arguing or recommending, planning isn't finished yet. Once the situation is clear, the next planning decision follows naturally. Now the report needs a purpose sentence that actually controls what happens next. Purpose has already been discussed elsewhere, so here the focus is how it functions in practice. A purpose sentence states what understanding the report is responsible for producing. For instance, a report might exist to clarify where injuries cluster and under what conditions, so managers can understand current risk exposure. Or it might exist to perform how flood frequency has changed over time, so planners can access infrastructure vulnerability accurately. Once that sentence exists, it starts doing real work. It acts as a filter. If a piece of information doesn't help produce that understanding, it doesn't belong. In professional settings, reports rarely fail because they're missing information. They often fail because too much undisciplined information gets included. From there, planning needs to turn outward toward the reader. Instead of listing an abstract audience, planning works better when it anticipates the questions readers are likely to bring with them. Professional readers don't approach reports as neutral text, as I've said many times before. They come with responsibilities, pressures, and constraints. In an injury report, those questions might involve where incidents occur most often, whether patterns are changing, what conditions contribute, and what remains uncertain. In a housing or flood risk report, readers may want to know how patterns vary by location, how current the data is, what assumptions the analysis relies on, and where confidence should be limited. Each major section of the report exists to answer a cluster of those questions. When that connection is clear, drafting stops feeling like guessing and starts feeling like response. At this point, another planning responsibility becomes unavoidable, and that is scope. Now, scope is not about length. It's about what the report claims to represent. Planning should name time frame, location, population, and data sources, and then explain the consequences of those limits. A report might explain that it analyzes reported injuries during scheduled shifts, but does not include near misses, which means the findings almost certainly underrepresent the full scope of risk. Or it might note that flood projections are based on historical data and therefore do not account for recent infrastructure changes that could significantly alter outcomes. Moves like this may seem minor, but they do really important work. They signal to readers not just what the report includes, but how carefully its claims should be carried forward. Making those boundaries explicit protects both the reader and the writer. When the scope is left implicit, readers often assume the report represents the whole situation rather than a deliberately bounded slice of it. That assumption can quietly inflate confidence and lead to decisions being made with more certainty than the evidence can responsibly support. Now, once scope has been made visible in this way, planning reaches its final and most integrative stage. At this point, the goal shifts from seeing limits to shaping understanding itself. Before any research begins, planning should also establish a findings framework. This is where many people hesitate because it feels counterintuitive. We're taught to research first and organize later, but in reporting, that often creates noise instead of clarity. What needs to come first are the categories of explanation the report expects to build. A findings framework is not a list of conclusions, and it isn't a set of claims waiting to be proven. It is a set of lenses the report will use to make sense of evidence. In an injury report, those lenses might include where incidents occur, when they tend to happen, what tasks are involved, what equipment appears repeatedly, and where reporting gaps exist. In a flood risk report, they might include frequency over time, geographic variation, infrastructure exposure, and areas of uncertainty in the projections. Once these categories are in place, research has direction. Evidence is gathered to populate specific explanations the report has already committed to building, rather than to demonstrate effort or coverage. Without this step, drafting often turns into sorting, where information moves around but never quite becomes understanding. When planning reaches this level of clarity, something important happens to the drafting process. The writing becomes stable. The report already knows what it explains, what it includes, what it leaves out, and how understanding will be built for the reader. Professional readers feel that stability immediately, even if they never see the plan itself. In other words, the document holds together. The explanations don't wander, and the writer doesn't have to keep stopping mid-draft to justify or rethink fundamental choices. So this is the difference between a report that survives scrutiny and one that creates problems later. Weak planning rarely announces itself as weak planning. Instead, it just shows up as confusion, as follow-up questions that shouldn't be necessary, as revisions that could have been avoided, or as decisions delayed because the document didn't quite do what it needed to do. Planning done this way doesn't just make drafting easier, it changes the quality of the report itself. When decisions are made early and made deliberately, the writing stops feeling fragile, the structure holds, and readers don't have to guess what the document is doing or how much weight its claims carry. That's what allows reports to be used with confidence rather than with caution. And that confidence doesn't come from polish or volume. It comes from judgment exercise before a single paragraph was written, when the direction of the report was still being shaped. I hope this has clarified how planning actually works in real reporting situations and why it deserves more attention than it usually gets. If you have questions or you want to think through how this might apply to a specific report that you're writing, feel free to leave a comment below, and be sure to explore the rest of my channel for more videos on writing, research, and of course, literature. Be well.